I'm really grateful for this event today, especially given the recent history that we've had. New South Wales has not truly been accessible for people with disabilities, and I think that this is a good opportunity to start making steps towards improvements in that space, particularly for our deaf community whose language prohibits them from equally being involved in the happenings and discussions of this Parliament. Having access to information is a basic human right, so I think that this is a great acknowledgement of the importance of that in proceedings, and acknowledge that Auslan interpreters being provided in these contexts allows that to happen.
When I first spoke with members of the deaf and hard of hearing community about the idea of having proceedings in Parliament translated in real time into Auslan, it seemed like an immense task. It seemed like something that this House would be willing to embrace, but also would understand it to be logistically incredibly difficult. I moved the motion for this inquiry to proceed and for us to look into how we might make that happen. And I have to say that the result of that has exceeded all my expectations. We are now moving to pilot, to put in Auslan interpretation in place for the for the first address next year, and to pilot how we might do that more extensively in the future. And I think it is an absolute highlight of my time here in Parliament to see this be done so effectively. And I'd like to give my particular thanks to the committee team for organising that groundbreaking first hearing that was translated. All of it was translated into Auslan. And I would like to thank you, Mr. President, for your advocacy in this space and in relation to disability rights. And yeah, I'm incredibly proud and pleased that we've got to this point.